Okay, I think I'm live. Hopefully, let me see here. I know no one's probably here. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, I just needed to mute my YouTube side there real quick. So I'm probably not going to be here very long. I don't have a whole lot of time to put forth with this, nor do I feel it's worth the energy for most of it. But I only have, hey Tallulah, I only have one thing I want to really address. Um, for those of you who don't know, which hopefully is all of you, because I hope no one is spending 6 hours of their day listening to such negativity and ridiculousness. Tammy was live for 6 hours yesterday um, because I said her name twice in a stream, and I guess that took 6 hours of her time to address. So, at any rate, the only thing really, um, I have not listened to her whole stream because I don't have 6 hours to get to it. But what I did hear in a couple parts was her saying things that she absolutely has no idea about at all. Um, and speaking about my brothers, okay? First of all, it's never been any secret, Tammy, that I had two brothers and they both passed away within 5 weeks of each other. Now, had you been paying any attention when we were supposedly friends, hey, Margie, when we were supposedly friends, you would know this. And you acted like it was a big surprise to you. Oh, brothers? Plural? I mean, you said that. Like, from day one, when I started on YouTube, I have been talking about this. Um, so, it just again reiterates to me that we never had a friendship, which I knew that to some extent. I was your friend. But it just reiterates that you were not my friend. You never paid a bit of attention to anything I said, to anything that was going on with me, because you also said, that I lied to you about coming to see you. No, I actually was going to come and meet you. And like a week before that was supposed to happen, my mother had a heart attack. I told you that. I told you that's why I couldn't come. My mother had a heart attack and had to be taken to the hospital and was still in the hospital when I was supposed to be coming to meet you. So that, it wasn't a lie. You knew that this happened because I reached out to you and I told you. And you told me how you were going to pray for my mom and all these things. And it was all a bunch of bullshit, clearly. Clearly it was, because now you don't even remember. And if you do remember, you're just lying then. That I lied to you about coming to see you. The reason I was going to come to see you was because there was a Renaissance fair going on near where you lived, and I thought that I would like to go to that. By the time my mother left the hospital and I had her situated, the Renaissance fair wasn't going on anymore. So, yeah, you're just full of crap. You never paid attention. You're still not listening. I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of different things, but here's the thing I want to get into with you, Tammy. I heard you saying things about my brothers, like you were trying to shame me and shame everything about my life experiences and about my love for my brothers or whatever, because I've mentioned that one of my brothers had an alcohol problem and a drug abuse problem, and had spent some time in and out of jail, mostly for things, always for things that had to do with alcohol abuse and drug abuse, always for things like public intoxication or drunk driving or things like that. We aren't even talking about things like you've been punished for in the criminal justice system. okay, which I have never brought up to you. I've never brought up your mom. I've never brought up your dad. I've never brought up your brother. I've never brought up your sister. I've never brought up your son in any way to weaponize them against you. And yet you're over there speaking about my two brothers who you absolutely know nothing about outside of the fact that I have shared with you, although you don't seem to remember, and others on the internet, um, that they both passed away and that one of them passed away from a drug overdose. Whether that was accidental or foul play has never been clearly defined. But you're speaking about people who I love deeply, as though you know anything about them outside of what I have shared about them with you or with the internet. You don't know their names. You don't know what their ages were. You don't know what their occupations were. You don't know if they were married or not. You don't know if they had children or not. You don't know anything about them. Period. Okay? I knew way more than those things about them. I knew who they were as people. I knew whether or not they were kind. I knew whether or not they were generous. I knew whether or not they liked certain things or disliked certain things. I knew how they treated people. I knew how they interacted with people. I knew what they loved about their lives. I knew who they loved in their lives. You knew nothing about them. And you're over there saying that in some way I need to be ashamed because they had flaws, because they were human, because they made mistakes. Why are you speaking about any of the people in my family? I have never weaponized anything you've shared with me against you, ever. And this is why we can never, ever be friends. Because we are not equal. And I am only friends with people who are my equal. People who can treat me like they're equal. So you be as petty and childish as you choose to be. That's fine by me because that's who you are. And that's okay. I don't move like that. Okay? You share with me anything about the worst times in your life or things that have happened that were devastating to you, and I will never weaponize that against you. I never have, and I never will. And you keep bringing up that other people have done this and people have done that, and you treat me like I'm one of the people who did it. You know I'm not one of the people who ever did any of those things to you. Ever. Because I don't treat human beings like that. Now, if you choose to treat human beings like that, that's on you. And if I thought I could help you to not do that, that's on me. Because you have made it clear that you will dig your heels in harder every single time you are challenged to be a better person. You will dig your heels in before you will ever acknowledge that you are not a good person. You never have been, and the way you're going, you probably never will be. And that has nothing to do with anyone else in your family. It's on you. Do not ever assume that you know who my family is. My brothers were so much more than any addiction. They were more than any criminal court case. They were more than any single mistake or flaw they made in their lives. And they were more to me, okay? They were nothing to you. You know nothing about them. Just like in all that you've shared about your family, I know nothing about them. I know your version of them. And we all know you lie and you exaggerate so that you can always be the victim and be the only good person in any story you ever tell. And you are not the good person in any of those stories. You may think you sound like it, but you sound like an idiot. You sound terrible. You sound miserable. And you make judgments on all the rest of us that we must be miserable. No, we're not. That's why we can celebrate when other people do well. I have never once heard you celebrate someone else's success. You are so despicable that you cannot celebrate the success of someone else. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could be something stupid and petty, like the number of views someone gets, or someone gets a $10 super chat, whatever it is. I've never heard you celebrate the success of a single other human being. And I just want to tell you this too. I don't know what you think you're doing when you tell me that you and Nippy would talk on the phone about me. How do you think Nippy feels about you sharing that with me? Do you think that makes your relationship with Nippy better? Because I'll tell you right now, Nippy hearing you tell me things like that is probably damaging whatever friendship you may still have with her. That's not how you make, nor is it how you keep friends. I don't need to know what you and Nippy do. That's between you and she, you and her. I don't share what she and I speak about because that's between she and I respect her in that manner. So I don't know what you think you're gaining by saying things like that to me. I don't know if you think that you're going to put some kind of wedge between, her and I. It's not happening. It makes you look bad. It makes you look bad. So I don't know why you're doing that. But again, I just want to reiterate. Hey, Cats, good to see you. I just want to reiterate that you need to stop speaking about things you know nothing about. And outside of the way they died and the fact that they are dead, that's all you know about my brothers. And you're over there like you think in some way you can shame me into not loving two of the people who were the biggest influences in my life. They knew me since the moment I was born. And you think you're really going to sit over there and shame me? Like I'm just going to all of a sudden not love my brothers because they had human problems? You're ridiculous. You are absolutely ridiculous and miserable. And I would ask you never to speak on my brothers again. I know I can't control whether or not you do. As a matter of fact, knowing you, you're going to double down and you're going to get really hateful and vulgar. The more vulgar you can be, the happier you think it will make you. But I know you well enough to know that you are recalcitrant to no end, and you will dig your heels in, and you will just go all in now on my brothers. And you go ahead and do that. I can't control that. Hold on one second. But I just can't think. So go ahead and do that, because that only makes you look terrible. And it only fuels what hate you have inside of you. So you go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go ahead and keep loving my brothers and the memories that I have of them. I loved them then, and I love them still. And there's nothing any vulgar, despicable, miserable person would ever be able to say that would affect how I feel about them. I do adore my brothers' cats. And that doesn't mean they were perfect, and it doesn't mean that that we didn't have issues. We did. Still loved them. It's called love, no matter what. And you have no idea, Tammy, what love is. Unconditional love. You have no idea what that is. I would sit here and tell you all the wonderful things about my brothers, but I no longer care what you think about anything. And I'm not going to feed into your need to weaponize people's precious moments in life. You're ugly, Tammy. You are ugly from the inside. I thought I saw something more in you. I thought I saw just a person who needed a little support, someone who just needed someone to prove to him that that even in our ugliest, meanest, most hateful times, not everyone would abandon us. I hung in there as long as I could. I thought you respected me enough that you wouldn't weaponize my worst points in life. I never have yours. I've never mentioned, that you have your own criminal record you should be worrying about. I've never mentioned the things that I think are despicable that you have done to your husbands or your son or your parents or your sister or your brother or your dog or your cats. I've never mentioned any of them until this very moment. And even now, I will not say specifics. You know what you've done wrong. You know very well all the ways you've done every single one of those people and animals wrong. You feel it. That's why you feel like you have to be so over the top in telling us how you're not really like this. And when you're out in public, you're just a beacon of hope and light. And people are drawn to you like the moth to the flame because you're so positive and you're so loving and you're full of shit. That's what you are. You're so full of shit. And the only person you're convincing, and you're not even doing that very well, is yourself, because you know the truth. Also, again, think about what you're doing to Nippy every single time, because this isn't the first time you've said that. This is at least the fourth time you have said that you and Nippy talk about me behind my back. Okay? And I think you think you're going to put some kind of wedge there. You're not hurting me with that at all. You're hurting Nippy. And she might be one of the only people who I still see show up in your chat who gives you the time of day. So you keep doing you, Tammy. You won't be happy until you have ran everyone out of your orbit who could have ever offered you anything resembling friendship. But again, I would ask that you never speak about my brothers again, especially since you don't even remember that I have shared these things about them. You acted legitimately surprised that it was brothers, plural. This is the same story I have been telling since the moment I showed up at YouTube, and I shared very personal stories with you. So you knew I had two brothers. You knew they both died within 5 weeks of each other. You knew that that was a very stressful time for me. I told you all of this. We spoke about it. And now you're acting like it's a surprise. I also shared how they died. And you're acting like this is the first time you've heard anything about me having a brother who was addicted to drugs and who had an alcohol problem. You were never my friend, Tammy. You never listened to a word I said. Hi, Shannon. Hi, Carrie. Who is this? Okay. I'm sorry. Someone was just messaging me. Oh, thank you, Cat's Rule. I just got your message. I so appreciate that. Thank you, Cats. But yeah, that's all I wanted to address. All of the other crap you said is superfluous. You know, like sitting over there assuming you know anything about me, not to mention Shannon. I mean, you sit there and you say things so confidently, right? And I mean, hey, we have to we have to admire the confidence in which you uh, thrust forth your allegations and accusations, saying stupid things like, "She never exercises. She never walks. Why don't you walk? Why don't you?" You don't know what I do. Okay, so you're just ridiculous. But you're so confident in your ridiculousness that I mean, I almost enjoyed it. But what I don't enjoy is the weaponization of people you have never known a single thing about except for how they left this world. And then you didn't even know enough about it, apparently, or care enough about it to remember it. So, good for you, Tammy. Good for you for showing us the human side of Tammy. How you're so kind, how you're so upbeat, and you really influence people to be their better selves. Whatever. You're a fucking idiot. You're fucking ridiculous. You know nothing about anything you so confidently assert. You know, I'm starting to think that everything you've ever said is a lie. There were certain things that I always knew were lies, right? But I don't know. I don't even believe that you probably have a degree in psychology because there's no way that someone who has the degree could have passed enough of the testing uh, when they're so ignorant. Hey, Black Eagle, good to see you. So yeah, that's all I came on here to say. Her as of 20 minutes ago when I started this, the video or the stream entitled Jennifer STFU was still up. She'll take it down soon, I'm sure. But it's 6 hours, and no one has 6 hours to give to that. So if you want to go over and check it out, go ahead. You'll hear her assert many things about myself and Shannon, and be giving me shit about doing a 2.5 hour stream where she was only mentioned twice, by the way. Minimal. She got maybe what, 4 minutes of time in a 2.5 hour stream, and saying how Oh, you go on for 2.5 hours. You go on for two. Yet, yet she managed to do 6 hours while giving me shit for having a 2.5 hour stream. 6 hours on a 2.5 hour stream where she was mentioned twice, minimally, maybe 4 minutes total, where she was spoken about. So, yeah. I mean, just the hypocrisy alone in that you did 6 hours. Oh, but this one's for you, Tammy. This one's for you. By the way, thank you for calling me by my real name and giving my location and all those things. Because that makes you feel powerful, doesn't it? It makes you feel powerful to call me Jennifer and Jenny, which when we were speaking personally, I told you you could call me. I never said you could call me Jenny or Jennifer online. Not that people don't know that's my name because, I've said that, but it makes you feel powerful to feel like you know so much about me. You know absolutely nothing. You could know things about me because I told you a lot of things about me. But apparently you didn't care enough to remember them. Right, Carrie? I know she does. She does Shannon the same way. And honestly, there are so many Jennifers in the state that I live in. I'm not really worried that she gave away anything about me that's going to help anyone who doesn't already know find out who I am. I'm not worried about that. It's just the fact that she uses that um, to menace, to be menacing. It's not menacing, first of all, but that's what she intends for it to be. I've never menaced her. I've never tried to be menacing. I've never used personal information I know about her against her, ever. The only thing I've only ever addressed with her is her behaviors, her current behaviors. You had no idea? I know you didn't, Catsroll. You had absolutely no idea. Yeah, 6 hours of sustained hate. She's got major problems. Shannon, there was a part in it too. And this just goes to prove that she does not listen. There was a part in it where we are clearly saying that children need to be protected in public restrooms. Yet she is screaming and yelling at us, telling us what pieces of shit we are, while she's arguing the same thing we're saying. She does not listen. She only listens to herself. That's why it takes her 6 hours. And she didn't even make it through my 2.5 hour stream. She had to cut it off at 6 hours. Um, but yeah, she doesn't listen. She never listens. Happy day. Right. Neither can I, Carrie. Neither can I. Although, I'm I'm raising two right now. Uh, yeah, she listens to argue. She doesn't listen to learn. She doesn't listen to understand. She listens to find a way where she can uh, confidently assert how right she is, and we are all just floating in a sea of wrong. Yeah, so continue, Tammy. Continue showing everyone exactly who you are. You know, when you show people who you are, and then you have to tell them how you're completely different from that, uh, and how you are just a beacon of light and hope in a dark, dark world. You tell us all these wonderful things about yourself, yet we've never seen you behave in such a manner, right? She is. She is desperate, lonely, and sad, and yet she wants to, you know, project that onto everyone else in this world. I am neither desperate, lonely, or sad. Sometimes I get sad, but I can honestly say that I am not lonely. I've never been lonely, and I am certainly not miserable. Am I living my best life? Sometimes. You know, we all have good days and bad days. My life is not perfect, but my life is exactly my life. So that is my life, and I'm the only one who has to live it, Tammy. You go live yours and enjoy it. Enjoy your hate. Enjoy your misery. Enjoy your assertions and allegations that are completely unfounded about the lives of other people. But for the final time, I will ask you to no longer speak on people you know absolutely nothing about. I never did it to you, and I thought that you at least had enough respect for me that even though we went our separate ways as people, that that wasn't going to be an issue. But you have proved that there are no rules in your world when it comes to friendship. I'm still not going to do it to you. Is Dari here? I don't see Dari. Oh, hi, Dari. Now I see you. All right, so that's all I wanted to say. I had things to go and do, but like I said, when I started this stream, her stream was still up. I just randomly clicked through about every 10, 15 minutes in the timeline there. You can get the gist of it because it's all just a bunch of the same stuff over and over. Um, but yeah, I heard her like trying to make me ashamed because there was drug abuse and alcoholism and abuse and um, all of that you know, criminal endeavors, I guess, going on in my life. First of all, Tammy, none of that had anything to do with me. Okay, I was never an alcoholic. I was never a drug abuser. I've never had a criminal record of any kind. Can you say the same? But you want me to feel ashamed that people that I loved had real world human problems? It's not going to happen. Can you say you don't have a criminal record? That's yours. You own that criminal record. It's got your name right on it. Can you say you never had a problem with alcohol? Not that I think there's anything wrong with it, but why are you shaming me for something that I don't even have? Why? No one should be ashamed of it. I don't think you should be ashamed of it. You're living a life. You're human. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to do things that aren't good for you. It's who you're trying to be tomorrow that interests me. And you're trying to be the same exact person you are today, tomorrow. You don't think there's anything wrong with you. And that's exactly what's wrong with you. You don't think there's any way that you could be any better tomorrow than you are today because you think you are the epitome of everything that is righteous and good. And I'm here to remind you that you are not. You so frequently remind people that they are not better than they think they are. They are worse than they think they are. Right? Isn't that one of your favorite sayings? Isn't one of your favorite sayings that we're all worse than we think we are? Well, I don't accept that for myself. Clearly you do. Clearly you don't mind being worse than you can even imagine yourself being. But I don't think you believe that about yourself either. I think that you think that you're pretty damn good. I think that you think that there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. And that if you just keep doing this long enough, keep being you and doing all this stupid shit long enough, everyone will praise you and come to see the light of Tammy. Oh, Tammy, how you are a beacon of hope in a dark, dark world where we're all going to learn about loss, right? Because you like to tell us that too. We're going to learn about loss, right? Yeah. Everyone in this world has lost, okay? We have all experienced loss. And you think you're some kind of fucking genius guru by reminding us. Nobody needs to be reminded about that shit. And when you say that we all try to, try to make the Bible out to be something it's not supposed to be, and we think it's all supposed to be good and blah blah blah. Tammy, you actually, I think, said the words, the gospel is not just supposed to be good and make you feel good and all that. Do you know what gospel means? The gospel literally means the good news. But let Tammy deliver the gospel, and suddenly the good news isn't so fucking good. It's bad for all of us except Tammy. It's the bad news now. The gospel is literally the good news. Yet Tammy can deliver it in such a way that we all feel like it's bad news. And that's the kind of logic you're going to get from Tammy. The kind of uplifting message you're going to get. So thank you, Tammy, for spreading the gospel, the good news, in a manner that none of us get to feel good about it. Thank you. Thank you, you uplifting beacon of hope and joy and light in this world. So I'm so sorry I haven't been paying attention to the side chat. I've kind of been on a little rant here. I've been here for 40 minutes. I'm going to go. I've got things to do that are way more important than this. I just wanted to remind people that when you hear that stupid shit, she really thought that she was going to shame me out of loving my brothers. Two people who knew me since the moment I came into this world. Two people who taught me some of the very first things I lived in my life. The very first things I learned. Taught me how to talk. Taught me how to walk. Taught me how to eat. Taught me how to play. Taught me how to laugh. She thought she was going to make me feel ashamed of them. Two people who protected me, my big brothers, my brothers who protected me at the school bus stop when someone would pick on me, my brothers who protected me on the playground when someone would try and take their turn while I had been waiting and it wasn't their turn yet. My brothers who would protect me from other people and then turn around and torment me more than that other person was. That was love, okay? You're never going to make me feel ashamed of my brothers. And the fact that you think that's how love works, that you can love someone and then someone like you, someone stupid and ignorant who knows absolutely nothing about them, can come and say something about them to change your mind, to change your mind because somehow now you should be embarrassed or ashamed. I will never be embarrassed or ashamed of a single thing about my brothers, ever. And to think that you're the one who could deliver that blow that could make me feel any differently about my brothers tells me how little you know about the bond between siblings and about how love really works. You know absolutely nothing about it. And that's a you problem. That's not a me problem. Don't try and put your shit about shame and embarrassment on me, okay? I will never be ashamed or embarrassed that my brothers had weaknesses and were human and were fallible because they never quit loving me through my faults, through my mistakes. They may not have been the same mistakes and they may not have been the same problems and faults, but I still have them. And they never stopped loving me. They may not be here anymore, but they're here in me, in my memories, okay? In my heart. And you're never going to teach me anything about who they were as people. I don't know who you think you are, but you are never going to teach me anything about my siblings. And I'm sorry if your brother and sister have not been the same for you. But again, that is a you problem. If you haven't learned this by now, that love never changes between siblings, that even when you don't like them, you can still love them deeply. If you haven't learned that by now, you never will. And you missed something really major in the foundation of how the world works. There are people that I may not speak to anymore, that I don't like at all, and I still love them with all of my heart. But apparently, you think people get written off for having faults, for having flaws, for being human and making mistakes. I never once wrote you off for any of those reasons. I didn't write you off because you have a criminal record. I didn't write you off because you lie. I didn't write you off because you have an alcohol problem. I didn't write you off because I didn't like the way you treated your son or your dog or your cats or your husbands. I never wrote you off for any of those things. You know why I wrote you off, Tammy? I wrote you off because you said anyone who has their parent in a nursing home is a piece of shit, and you hope they die, and you hope they get all the worst things in life. You told me how you felt about me. You say you didn't use my name, and I say you don't need to use my name. You knew that about me. You knew that my mother was in a nursing home. So I don't care if you used my name or not. That's why I wrote you off, because I was no longer willing to be in a friendship where I was not respected. And you say that the reason I did that is because I don't agree with your opinion of nursing homes? Has nothing to do with your opinion of nursing homes. I know that not all nursing homes are good. And I know that people get mistreated in some nursing homes. But that's your easiest solution to that, isn't it? To avoid the real issue, which was you saying that anyone, by the way, I am anyone, I am a someone, and you've said anyone or someone who puts their parent in a nursing home or allows their parent to be in a nursing home is a piece of shit that you hope gets uh, the, the worst things in life to happen to them. So, again, that's why I ended our friendship, because of the lack of respect you showed for me, for my life experiences, all of that. It had nothing to do with your opinion of nursing homes. But yeah, Tammy, there are significant things missing in your life, even with the issues I went through growing up. I was capable of learning empathy and learning about every person's unique experience, building who they are as a person. And I learned what is love and what is not love. And if you haven't learned those things by the age of 56, I have little hope that you will. I still hold some hope that something could happen that could make you understand empathy, unconditional love, how to treat a friend, what is love and what is not love. Um, but to think that you're going to teach me anything about my brothers, you're a moron. Now, maybe when people said bad things about people you loved, it embarrassed you or humiliated you or made you think, maybe I won't love them anymore then. Never once has the thought crossed my mind that I would be embarrassed and not carry the love for my brothers that I have carried because of anything anyone else had to say about them. Okay, so I'm going to go back and read the chat, but I am going to end this. I know I've said that already. I just keep getting new thoughts, new things I wanted to try and say. And listen, all of you, in all honesty and in all sincerity, we all love someone who has problems. You don't have to like them. You don't have to hang out with them. You don't have to talk to them. But if you love them, just love them. Do what you can. Send out the best vibrations or prayers or whatever it is you do for people, to those people you love. You may never want to spend another minute in the same room with them. People are people. We all have our problems. When you love someone, just love them. Doesn't mean you have to become, their victim. If their problem is something that causes you to feel used or abused or victimized in any way, whether that's financially or emotionally or whatever, doesn't mean you have to take that. You can love someone and not have to spend a single minute in a room with them again. Wish the best for them. Try to keep the best for them around them, even if you can't be the one to offer it. Don't let stupidity and ignorance, like the things that Tammy says, keep you from living for who you are. She's ignorant. She's just ignorant. And that was always my biggest concern, is that there were people who would be uh, vulnerable and hear her say the things she says, who might be, in a really rough spot in their life, and hear her say how much God hates them. God doesn't hate you. I don't care what you do. God does not hate you. There is nothing you can do that would make God hate you. Nothing. Nothing. There is absolutely not one thing you can do that would make God hate you. Now, you can do next to nothing and Tammy's going to hate you. That's okay. We don't live for Tammy, right? But especially people who are vulnerable in their low moments or whatever, hearing something like that, that is absolutely disgusting. Nobody needs to hear that they're a piece of shit because they've found the best for their parent or their loved one is to be cared for in a nursing home. No one needs to hear that, especially when you know absolutely nothing about it. And two things can be true at the same time. She doesn't seem to understand that either. There are a lot of things that go into the decisions we make in life. We think about all of them when we make those decisions. We don't just think about how it looks to other people. I don't give a shit how it looks to other people. So, love the people you love. And if you think you can make people not love the people they love simply because you can embarrass them or shame them or whatever, then you're stupid too. So, have a good day, guys. And just remember, don't be stupid. All right. I'll talk to you later. I'm going to go back and read the chat. Thank you for everyone who chatted in here. Like I said, I haven't been keeping up with it because I'm on a roll here, but I will reread it here. Thanks for showing up. Bye bye.